Hi everyone, my name is Julianna, and today Daniela and I will be going over seasonal affective disorder. Before we begin, we will just be doing a land acknowledgement, and this is for Toronto, where the Dish with One Spoon territory is located, as well as X University. Toronto is in the Dish with One Spoon territory. The Dish with One Spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. Subsequent Indigenous nations and peoples, Europeans, and all newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. Our agenda for today will go over an introduction, what is seasonal affective disorder, or SAD, statistics about seasonal affective disorder, some risk factors, as well as what are the warning signs. I will then pass it over to Daniela, who will go over treatments, misconceptions about SAD, self-care if you have SAD, supporting someone with SAD, some community resources, as well as important points to remember. To begin, many people say that the winter months make them depressed, but did you know that these symptoms can actually be related to a mental health disorder called seasonal affective disorder? For individuals with seasonal affective disorder, or SAD, the seasonal changes can affect their entire sense of well-being and make them feel like an entirely different person, all depending on the season. The exact reasons for what causes SAD are not entirely known yet, but it is suggested that winter SAD may be caused by lack of sunlight or family history. Now we'll be going over what is seasonal affective disorder. We'll be going in depth here. So seasonal affective disorder, or SAD, is a type of depression that is related to changes in the season. Many individuals' symptoms begin in the fall and continue into the winter months. These symptoms often resolve themselves during the spring and summer months. However, symptoms do not always occur just in the fall and winter months, and less often, SAD can cause depression in the spring and summer and resolve during the fall and winter. It is possible for individuals to not show symptoms every year. In fact, 30 to 50% of affective individuals do not show symptoms of the disorder in consecutive winters. And in 40% of people with seasonal affective disorder, depressive episodes can continue after winter and do not alleviate in the summer months, which can lead to either a major depressive disorder or bipolar disorder diagnosis. Now for some statistics. It's estimated that 13 to 17% of people who develop SAD have an immediate family member with the disorder. 2 to 3% of Canadians will experience SAD in their lifetime, and another 15% will experience a milder form of SAD that leaves them slightly depressed but does not majorly disrupt their life or daily routines. Women are 9 times more likely to be diagnosed with SAD than men. The specific causes of SAD are unknown, but some factors that may come into play include your biological clock, serotonin levels, and melatonin levels. With your biological clock, with the days being shorter in fall and winter, this also means there is a reduced level of sunlight. This can cause winter onset SAD, as the decrease in sunlight may disrupt your body's internal clock and lead to depressive symptoms. Along with the previously mentioned factor, reduced sunlight can also cause a drop in serotonin that may trigger depression. Serotonin is a brain chemical that affects mood. Similarly, the same thing can happen with melatonin levels. Changes in seasons can also disrupt the balance of melatonin in an individual's body, and this plays a role in sleeping patterns and mood and can lead to depressive symptoms. Factors that can increase your risk of developing SAD include being a woman or young adult, having a family history, having major depression or bipolar disorder, living far from the equator, or having low levels of vitamin D. Those with a family history of SAD or another form of depression are much more likely to have SAD. Symptoms can worsen seasonally if you have one of these mental health conditions. Individuals that have been diagnosed with bipolar disorder are at an increased risk of also developing seasonal affective disorder. In some individuals with bipolar disorder, manic episodes can be linked to a specific season. Spring or summer can also bring on symptoms of mania or a less intense form of mania, as well as anxiety, agitation, and irritability, and this may also be experienced during the fall and winter. Studies suggest that SAD is more common among people who live far north or south of the equator. This may be due to daylight saving time that also occurs during the winter, where there is a decrease in sunlight during the winter and longer days during the summer. As well, vitamin D is produced in the skin when it is exposed to sunlight and can even help boost serotonin levels. And activity. Less sunlight in the winter and not getting enough vitamin D, either from foods or other sources such as daily vitamins, can result in low levels of vitamin D in the body, creating depressive symptoms. Finally, we'll move on to warning signs. Some symptoms include feeling sad or down most of the day, nearly every day, losing interest in activities you once enjoyed, having low energy or feeling sluggish, sleeping too much or too little, over or under eating or experiencing weight gain or loss, having difficulty concentrating, feeling hopeless, and having suicidal thoughts. Symptoms for fall and winter SAD and spring and summer SAD differ. Fall and winter SAD symptoms include oversleeping, appetite changes, weight gain, and feeling tired and having low energy. Spring and summer SAD symptoms are the opposite, having insomnia, poor appetite, weight loss, agitation and anxiety, and irritability.
Next, we'll go over treatments. There are a few treatments that have been shown to be effective in managing seasonal affective disorder, the first being light therapy or phototherapy. For light therapy, an individual would sit a short distance from a light box so that each day begins with exposure to light. This is preferably done within the first hour of being awake. As the light box is similar to natural light, it can alter brain chemicals and have a positive impact on mood. Light therapy is usually one of the first treatments used, and it can work within a few days or a few weeks with little side effects. There is not much research on light therapy, however, there is evidence that it can lessen symptoms of seasonal affective disorder. It's important to discuss this with a professional first so that you can receive recommendations specific to you. The next treatment is psychotherapy, which can help by educating yourself on productive ways to cope, particularly with avoidance, and creating routines beneficial to you. It can point out and alter negative thinking and behaviors that result in worsening of symptoms. You can educate yourself on coping with stress and create healthy behaviors and routines with regards to sleeping habits or eating. If symptoms are severe enough, some people with seasonal affective disorder may be prescribed medications, specifically antidepressants. It may be recommended that you start medications before symptoms start on a yearly basis and continue even after symptoms decrease. However, it should be noted that it will take time to see a complete difference with antidepressants, and it may take time to find the right one that works for you. Important to know that if you have bipolar disorder, this should be mentioned to a professional, as light therapy and antidepressants can result in a manic episode. Misconceptions about seasonal affective disorder. The first misconception we'll explore is seasonal affective disorder only impacts people during the winter. Seasonal affective disorder can occur in other seasons even though it's rare. This is often believed, however, due to the fact that the condition can be caused by less exposure to light. However, many different factors can cause the condition, therefore it can occur during any other time of the year. There can also be different symptoms for those who are impacted in the summer, including an increase in aggression and anxiety, and more of a prevalence of insomnia. The next misconception is light therapy will always help people with seasonal affective disorder. Light therapy has been shown to be beneficial and reduce symptoms. However, it's not always effective for everyone, and a variety of factors can change whether or not it will be beneficial. For instance, as discussed earlier, light therapy can be more harmful for individuals with bipolar disorder as it can cause a manic episode. Seasonal affective disorder only affects people in northern latitudes. While it has been shown that the condition mainly affects those in higher latitudes, seasonal affective disorder can also occur in lower latitudes. The next misconception is seasonal affective disorder only impacts women. There does tend to be a difference in gender when it comes to who will develop the condition, with a ratio of 4:1. However, men can still get seasonal affective disorder. The exact reason for this large difference is not known. However, studies show that with many types of depression, women can be more likely to develop them due to hormonal differences. Seasonal affective disorder is a minor type of depression. This is untrue, as it's not a minor form of depression and it can lead to severe symptoms, such as substance abuse, suicidal thinking, and physical health concerns. The last misconception is people can pull themselves together. Seasonal affective disorder is the result of chemical imbalances in the brain, and due to this, it's not something that someone can snap out of. Treatment is often needed, as it can occur on a yearly basis and can have severe consequences if not appropriately treated. Self-care with seasonal affective disorder. There are many methods of self-care that can be beneficial in coping with seasonal affective disorder, the first being light therapy. As discussed earlier, light therapy can be effective in reducing symptoms. As well, it can be an easy thing to add to a routine in the morning to take care of yourself. Exercise. Exercising can be beneficial in self-care. It increases mood and can decrease stress, which can make symptoms worse over time. Eating habits. Often with seasonal affective disorder, many people find themselves craving carb-heavy foods or foods high in sugar. This is often because sugary foods can result in higher levels of energy in the brain. By eating foods such as complex carbohydrates and simple carbohydrates, it will result in a better mood and can help with the fact that sugary foods often provide a short-lived mood boost. Sleeping habits. Many people with seasonal affective disorder often struggle around sleeping. However, by having a sleep schedule, it can benefit you. Sunlight in the morning can be beneficial in reducing symptoms, and oversleeping can result in the worsening of symptoms. Get help. By getting professional help, you can get an idea of how to lessen your symptoms and cope with seasonal affective disorder. Therapy can be beneficial as it can provide tools to cope with seasonal affective disorder. Finally, routines. Routines can be important and can improve mental health. Sleeping habits, eating habits, journaling, exercising, and any other activity that may provide joy can all be added into your routine to help mood and reduce stress. Supporting someone with seasonal affective disorder. There are also many ways that you can support someone living with seasonal affective disorder. The first being to remind them that you are there. People often struggle to open up or start a conversation, but by letting someone know you are there, it can provide effective support and can let them know that they can reach out to you. Encourage them to get help. Often, seasonal affective disorder will not get better on its own, and as discussed, it needs treatment in order to get better. Due to stigma and many other factors, it can be difficult for someone to reach out and get help. By encouraging them to get help and assisting them in where to start, it can be beneficial as they will not walk through the process alone. Remain judgment-free. Due to misconceptions and a lack of lived experience, it can be difficult to understand how the condition impacts you and what it's like living with the condition. Remain judgment-free in conversations, open-minded, and support the individual as best you can. Ask what they need. Each person is different, and what helps one person may not help the next. By asking what they need, they can let you know what works for them and what they need from you. It's also a great way to meet the individual where they're at, so that it doesn't add any stress on them for doing something they may not be able to do at the moment. Make plans. As seasonal affective disorder can impact an individual every year, it can be helpful to create plans before symptoms arise. This can help prepare you to support them while looking out for yourself and can help them prepare ahead of time. Reach out. Reach out to them and let them know that you're there. It will be beneficial as they have your continued support and they'll be more likely to reach out in the future. Finally, take care of yourself. This is probably the most important point. Establishing boundaries, finding support, and sharing the role in supporting someone with other people can help you to take care of yourself and not take on too much. By finding support or talking to people, it can also give you the opportunity to voice how you're feeling. Next, we'll go over some resources. The most important thing to take away from this video is that there is help and supports available. For an immediate mental health crisis, reach out to a crisis line for support. For a non-immediate mental health crisis, a useful resource is For a Safer Space. For a Safer Space is a non-profit that offers accessible and inclusive mental health care. Visit the website for more information if you would like to reach out for support. We will conclude our video with some important points to remember. For individuals with seasonal affective disorder, the seasonal changes can affect their entire sense of well-being and make them feel like an entirely different person. For many people with seasonal affective disorder, symptoms begin in the fall and continue into the winter, resolving in the spring and summer months. However, some are impacted in the spring and summer, where their symptoms resolve in the fall and winter months. While the specific cause is not known, risk factors for the condition include biological or chemical factors, location, or family history. There are various warning signs for the condition, and symptoms even fluctuate depending on whether symptoms appear in the fall and winter or the spring and summer. To continue with some important points to remember, there are a few treatments for seasonal affective disorder, including light therapy, psychotherapy, and medications, specifically antidepressants. There are many misconceptions about seasonal affective disorder which can perpetuate stigma, and there are various methods of self-care that can help those living with seasonal affective disorder, such as exercise, having a routine, or focusing on sleeping and eating habits. To support someone living with seasonal affective disorder, there are many ways to go about this, but the most important aspect is to take care of yourself. Most important to remember is that there are resources and supports available to help. That concludes this presentation on seasonal affective disorder. Thank you for watching.